Welcome to Unlocking the Dream Vision, the Secret History of Creation. I'm your host, author R.J. von-Bruening. In this first video series, we will be exploring the mysterious dream vision of Enoch as explored in my book, Unlocking the Dream Vision, the Secret History of Creation. In this video, we will go over a few last important things before we enter into the dream vision of Enoch. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe for future videos. This series presents information based in part upon theory and conjecture of the system of esoteric symbolism. The purpose is to suggest some possible interpretation, but not necessarily the only one, to the many mysteries we will explore. Welcome to the world of the dream vision of Enoch. Before we can begin exploring the dream vision, we must first cover some basic but very vital information that is necessary to understand the symbolism of the dream vision. In the last couple of videos, we answered some basic questions about what is the dream vision, who were the scribes, and we've learned about Enoch. In this video, we will address a few things that we need to know before we begin our journey into the allegorical and symbolic dream vision. This is due to the simple fact that we do not have the luxury of a long drawn-out initiation process with years of education and training into the rituals and ceremonies, all of which are normally required to learn the secrets of the mystical symbolism and the story of creation it holds. Because of this limitation, you're going to get, as the old saying goes, a crash course not only in the mystical symbolism, but also the esoteric religious belief system that's behind it. Due to this lack of initiation and educational process, you're going to need to be aware of a few things. With the first being that almost all of what you're about to hear may well be the most heretical, blasphemous thing you have ever been exposed to, for both believer and skeptic alike. Not only is it highly heretical, but it will go against all conventional thinking and force you to think in a way you've been taught not to. For the vast majority hearing this for the first time, many parts, but especially in the beginning, will sound rather outrageous. Not only will they sound outrageous, but for many they might sound downright crazy. Adding to this problem is that most of these outrageous sounding parts of the story will not actually be explained, but as you will come to learn at a much later point in the story, these crazy ideas will not sound quite so crazy after all. There are two primary reasons for this problem. The first is something we've already touched upon, that the ancient scribes used the mystical animal symbolism within the literal story to hide their secrets. The second reason has to do with the actual training and education of the young apprentice scribes. As with any organization such as the ancient scribes, you always had a small number of people who could get through the long and brutal initiation process, but they weren't able to get through the training and education that came next. As you can imagine, the scribes, of course, did not want any of these individuals to learn any of the real actual information about their true secrets. So the scribes had to ensure a means whereby they would not be able to tell others, especially their enemies, of this secret knowledge. To solve this problem, the ancient scribes devised another layer of protection by only teaching the literal side of the story to the apprentice scribe. We can use our example from earlier regarding World War II, which involved replacing the modern nation states with their own national animal symbol, to understand this technique, whereby the young apprentice scribes would only be taught the literal story using the animal symbolism. The understanding that the individual animals represented nation states would not be taught until much later in their training. Additionally, these young apprentice scribes would also only be taught to see the story in a moral, ethical, or even religious context. It would not be until the individual apprentice had become a full-fledged scribe that had proven his loyalty to his fellow brother scribes before he would be taught the actual meaning of the animal symbolism. Again, using the nation states of World War II as an example, the next phase of the training of the scribe would be undertaken many years after he was deemed a master scribe. Then he would finally be revealed that by the other master scribes that the story was a direct retelling of the most destructive war in modern human history. In this way, the scribes could protect their secrets. So by chance, one of these young apprentice scribes washed out for whatever reason, they would not know anything beyond the literal story. By this incredibly simple system of animal symbolism, with only the rote learning of the literal side of the story, the scribes were able to keep a surprising amount of control over the entire system of mystical symbolism and the secret information it held. Since the scribes were originally born in the religious temples, they were naturally supported and trained by the religious class and leaders of the time. By controlling the scribes, who in turn controlled the information and who would learn it, it's now easy to understand that this is what helped the religious class gain, hold, and have control over much of the political power in the ancient world. This then leads us to the next important understanding of the symbolism and its use, that this original connection of the scribes to the ancient temples has never been lost. Not only has it never been lost, but as you will discover, it is the foundation story of an entire religious belief system. This religion may be one of the most widely known, but also one of the most misunderstood religions of all time. Over the years, it has gone by many different names, with some of the more famous ones being alchemy, hermetic thought, Gnostics, the dark arts, mysticism, Kabbalah, sorcery, occultism, paganism, black magic, witchcraft, devil, or even Satan worship. Although it has gone by many different names over the years, it is by very definition an esoteric religion, which is a religion of specialized information or knowledge that is intended for or likely to be understood by a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. Additionally, just like the ancient scribes in the religious temples, it is necessary to be initiated into this esoteric belief system. There are two primary reasons for all the misunderstandings of this mysterious esoteric religion. The first is because in the Western world, this esoteric religion has traditionally been the moral enemy and chief competitor of the Catholic Church and Christianity in general. For this reason alone, the Catholic Church has spent much of the last 1500 years doing everything it could do to stomp out or demonize this competing belief system. The second reason is because of its very nature. It's secret. The followers and members of this esoteric religion all take secret oaths, which strictly forbid them to speak to any non-initiated person. Traditionally, the penalty is a very painful and shameful death for all who broke this oath of total and complete silence. Not only are the members strictly forbidden to speak of it, they also go to great lengths to help confuse the matter even more to the general public, with misinformation and disinformation about it all. This esoteric religion is also commonly known as a mystery religion. As we go along, you will learn that this includes several different elements that are built around this ancient tradition of the scribes using not only mystical animal symbolism, but also all the familiar symbolism that you encounter daily with the all-seeing eye and the triangle or pyramid being two of the best known. We'll also take a much closer look at this mysterious esoteric religion as we go through the symbolic dream vision. But at the moment, all you need to be aware of is that it is impossible to speak of the mystical symbolism and allegory within the dream vision without speaking of this esoteric religion. This is simply because they are the ones that continue to use this mystical symbolism to this day in the exact same tradition as the ancient scribes and the religious temples it was born into. Now, I know you already have a number of preconceived ideas about this mystery religion, but as time goes along, you will find out that almost all of them are incorrect. Because as you will learn, it is and is not what you think or have been taught to believe it is. This brings us to the next item, which is the fact that the symbolic dream vision and its allegory are deeply rooted in and intimately connected to the Bible and its long oral tradition. As we journey through the dream vision, we will be dealing with God, gods, angels, demons, monsters, and much more. which is just as with the esoteric religion, people have a number of preconceived ideas and deeply held beliefs about many of these things. We will also be entering into the dark and misty time of prehistory and the mysterious creation of man, a realm that is dominated by mythology, legend, and folklore, a time where the light of modern science shines very dimly on the mysterious events surrounding and leading up to the creation of the first men. Additionally, it is a subject that people have incredibly strong beliefs, passionate thoughts, and very personal feelings about. It is also a time where your own personal beliefs, thoughts, and your faith have as much weight as any evidence or competing ideas that modern science could ever present. In addition to those reasons, there has also been a number of elements from the Book of Enoch with bits and pieces of the dream vision that have been taken and used by the supporters of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, which has gained popularity in the last few decades. This has actually had a rather negative effect of creating an even greater misunderstanding of the mystical symbolism and its true meaning. It has also helped to distort the overall story in general by trying to replace the great and mysterious all-powerful gods of the original stories with an equally high-tech, all-powerful, mysterious, advanced aliens with some very cherry-picked stories. I will admit that the ancient alien hypothesis is compelling and that there are a number of things about the ancient world that could be interpreted in this manner. But as you will learn, there is a much more logical and down-to-earth interpretation of these ancient stories and symbols than aliens from some other planet around some unknown star that is light years away from us. In order to help tell this story, I will try to take a neutral position as possible concerning God and the gods in general. I will do my best to present them as they are in the stories and how our ancient ancestors thought of them as little more than just a fact of life. I also will present you with a few new ideas as we go along through our journey of the dream vision, but I will wait until we've gone through the entire story before I will address the subject of who the gods were. Once we reach that point, I will present you with an entirely new and radical idea about just who these mysterious figures were that our ancient astronauts worshipped as gods, angels, demons, and so much more. Possibly even more importantly, where they could have come from. This brings us to the last item we need to address before we begin our journey into the dream vision of Enoch, which is that the dream vision of Enoch itself begins with the creation of the first men. But as you are no doubt aware, there is some backstory leading up to this event. The biblical tradition typically tries very hard to overlook this time period, normally filling it up with the creation of earth and the heavens by God. Although the monotheistic religions try to overlook this time period, we are lucky enough to have many other ancient creation stories that do deal with this mysterious time. It is from these ancient stories that I will draw upon for the first part of the story, for they all agree on a few certain points, and that these common points of agreement are what I will try to focus on. In addition, and what many will find surprising, is that there are many similarities between these other ancient creation mythologies, and that they do in fact fit into the biblical tradition. And that is also one of the first steps toward understanding the greater symbolic connection between all the different ancient stories and about the creation of humanity. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe for future videos.